Hi guys, so this is a video on sketching functions. All right, it is a recap from Monday's lesson, but also an additive to Tuesday's lesson. So please make sure you watch this before Tuesday. So let's recap. If a graph is increasing, it should be positive, and it will look like this. If a graph is decreasing, it should be negative, and it will look like this. Remember, it's going down. If a graph is constant, it should be flat, and it will look like this. All right, so those are the three descriptions that we talked about. Our three words being increasing, decreasing, and constant. All right, so let's use that information to analyze the graph. Okay, so here we have Maria's trip to work. I have my x-axis is time in minutes, and my y-axis is her distance from home. So as time is going on, she's getting further and further from home. So this is her destination to work. So that would mean that this is her destination of work, and at 0 would be her home, just to give us a little background. So the first question, how long did it take Maria to get to work? So if I analyze my graph, I'm looking for where it ends, and I check my minutes, since that's my time, and I see that it takes 40 minutes. Okay, between which 2 points did Maria wait at the railroad tracks for a train to pass? So let's think about that. If I'm waiting for a train to pass, am I moving? No. And what does that mean about my distance? Is my distance increasing, decreasing, or is my distance staying the same? Your distance is staying the same. If I'm waiting for something, I'm not going back, I'm not going forward, I'm just kind of staying there. So that would be what part of the graph if it is staying the same. Good. So that's D to E. That is where it's staying the same because it is constant. Okay. And how long was she waiting at the railroad tracks? All right. So from 25 to 30 minutes. 25 minutes to 30 minutes is 5 minutes waiting. All right. Maria left her house, but then returned home because she forgot her briefcase. Which point represents that scenario? So let's think about that. She was going away from her home, so her distance was increasing. Increasing away from home. And then she forgot it, so she had to go back home, so her distance was decreasing. All right, so what part of the graph shows an increasing, then decreasing? Okay, and that is at this point right here, from A to B to C. All right, let's look at example 2. So now when I just have a little bit of a word problem, I need to think about my steps. My first step being annotating the word problem. And those are our annotation steps that we did in class. Then we're going to label our intervals, determine if that interval is increasing, decreasing, or constant, and then we're going to sketch. So let's do one thing at a time. Let's start with annotating. An airplane leaves for takeoff. For the first 20 minutes of the flight, it rises. After 20 minutes, it stays at a cruising altitude. At 90 minutes, the plane begins to descend for landing. Okay, I'm annotated. Great. Now I'm going to go ahead and label my different intervals. So when I'm labeling my intervals, I need to think about where it's changing. So an airplane leaves for takeoff. Is anything changing there? No. For the first 20 minutes, the flight rises. That represents something, so I'm going to call that interval 1. After 20 minutes, so that after already tells me I'm going to have a change of an interval. It stays at cruising altitude. Interval 2. And at 90 minutes, the plane begins to descend. There's my interval 3. So now I need to determine if my interval 1, 2, and 3 are increasing or decreasing. So I'm going to label them down here. So interval 1 says for the first 20 minutes, the flight rises. So that means increasing for 20 minutes. And since we're sketching, we're not going to be accurate with the minutes, but it's good to know. Okay, it says after 20 minutes, it stays at cruising altitude. Cruising altitude. What do you think that sounds like? Do you think that sounds like it's increasing, decreasing, or staying constant? So cruising altitude actually means it's going to be constant because it stays the same. All right, and that's happening from 20 minutes until the next change, which is at 90 minutes. Okay? At 90 minutes, the plane begins to descend. So descend is our key word. Again, do we think that key word is increasing, decreasing, or constant? Look about what it looks close to. It looks like the word decreasing, that D part, D-E. All right, so in interval 3, it's going to be decreasing until the flight lands. All right, so now we have a pretty rough draft. I'm going to go ahead and sketch some times in. 0, 20, 40, 60, 80, 100, 120. Again, we're just sketching. We don't know the heights, but that will help me think about it. So it says it's increasing for the first 20 minutes. Then it's constant from 0 to 90. And then the plane begins to land. All right, so interval 1, 2, and 3. All right, as always, if you have any questions, please make sure to write them in at the end.